Welcome to Sky Mommy Lounge. I'm your host, Marisa, and it's been a while. I've got a lot of things to catch you guys up on. I just recently moved out of the mainland to Oahu, Hawaii. I changed units, so I'm in a new unit, new call sign, and still doing what you guys know me to be doing as a Black Hawk pilot and maintenance test pilot. I also got promoted recently, and I've got a lot of other things going on. I'll do a separate episode, but today is very special because I have a friend here today, and we're going to have an amazing conversation. Her name is Tiffany. She is a data scientist by trade, and we're going to talk about how she's taking a break from corporate right now. Tiffany, welcome to the Sky Mommy Lounge.
Thank
How
you
are
so
you?
much for having me. I'm doing great. Yeah.
Wonderful. So, Tiffany, a lot of my friends and fans on this show don't really know what a data scientist is and what you actually do in your occupation right now. Can you just give us like a brief overview of what you do?
Yeah. So currently, I'm a consultant, and most of our clients are within the financial services industry. So banks, and essentially what we do is come in, they have a problem related to their data and technology, and we try to help them solve that problem. So for me personally, most of my work is within data visualization. So kind of taking some messy, ugly data, fixing it up, cleaning it up, and then turning it into a format that's more digestible for people across the organization that we're working with.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy what you do?
I do.
You do? Okay.
I like the day-to-day work.
The work-life balance, maybe?
Yeah. The things around that are sometimes, challenging.
Challenging. In what ways would they be challenging?
Yeah. So some of the challenges are around like prioritization, depending on who I'm working with on a project, there might be like conflicting interests, different timelines. And so it can kind of be a point of contention if, you're supporting multiple different parts of the organization, multiple different teams, and each person, every single thing on their plate is super important, and it's hard to accommodate that for every single person. So.
I can 100% relate. In
Yeah.
my specific job too, it's very much the same. It's like, hey, we have a common goal, but there are other priorities. Can't possibly get it all done in one time. So what is actually bringing you to take a break? Are you just on vacation? Because I mean, we're in Hawaii right now.
Thank you for asking, Sky Mother. I am burnt out. I am burnt out. So,
oh my gosh.
yeah.
Do you feel comfortable talking about that? 'Cause
Yeah.
I know you're not the only one and we're all feeling it. So I'm pretty sure this can resonate with a lot of people because everyone kind of tastes it or they tinker with it and they ride that line and they don't realize that they're actually creeping up on burnout and they don't necessarily recognize it. And then they don't know what to do. And is it even like cool to take a break?
Totally.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts? What happened?
Yeah. Happy to talk about it. Should we define burnout maybe?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're going to take a moment here, guys. We're going to actually show you or let you guys know what burnout is defined as in the corporate world. The Army has a regulation and a definition as well. So we're going to basically be speaking the same language, just in two different industries.
So burnout is defined as the brain remains structurally intact, but is exhausted from stress overload, often from external demands. So that's burnout specifically related to your work environment. And a few kind of key symptoms of that are reduced focus, feeling mentally cluttered or distracted, writing becomes slower, less creative, or more forced. And then there's also mental fatigue leading to poor concentration. So those are kind of some of the major symptoms of that.
So I really hate that you've experienced this and had to take a break. Like, are you okay?
I'm okay. I'm feeling having the time away has been absolutely necessary. And I do feel like I'm starting to heal. So,
Okay.
So happy to talk about kind of what led up to it.
Yeah.
So I've been in corporate for 8 or 9 years now. And my whole career has been tech, either data related jobs or finance. It's kind of all been building up. And it's just not only the stress of the responsibilities, but also the politics piece of it, the social, like just all of the socializing that's happening. Not having the option to totally be myself at work. So it can be a little exhausting.
I was just about to ask that. Like, do you even feel like you could be comfortably yourself and still be that performer in your workplace culture? No. Okay.
And I don't think there's many corporate environments that allow for that, which, I understand it. Part of it is, everyone kind of complies with this certain personality, I guess. So everything's kind of consistent across the board. But yeah, it can be exhausting as, I'm a person that's a little bit more on the creative side and just having to be
Like fit in a structured box.
fit in a box
Right.
that I don't fit in. So,
Okay. So did you come to that realization after you met your limit?
no.
Or you already knew about that?
I probably figured this out when I was like interning. So
But at that point, we're already there. We're at the finish line, right?
I
Or just beginning?
decided, well, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to treat this like an acting role, and I'm just going to make as much money as possible, play this part, play this character at work. And
No wonder you're tired.
yeah.
No wonder you're tired. You've been masking and performing
Yes.
this whole time.
Yes.
And you met your limit.
I'm over it.
She's over it.
Done. Done.
Oh my goodness. So knowing what we know now and you've healed a little bit, would you have done anything different leading up to that moment where you're like, oh my God, something is not right. I need to step away.
Yeah. So I think what I could have done differently. So like I'm an ambitious person, and I'm always wanting to challenge myself, which is okay, but constantly challenging yourself and constantly pushing and never being able to like fully enjoy work. I truly needed to kind of find, roles or environments that were accommodating for me as a person. And so I think, giving myself more grace and allowed myself to work in environments that were for me.
So I did want to ask, like, what were some of the symptoms that like led up to it? And I feel like this is like this one defining moment, but like you said, there was like a buildup of just stress and not being able to be yourself, and you're just kind of like pushing it under the rug and just kind of pretending it didn't exist, but you knew it wasn't a good fit. What were some of the symptoms that brought you to that moment? Did you like just feel like you were just sick or not yourself, or what was it?
Yeah, it kind of started as like just depression, which I go through on and off, and anxiety and just feeling like stressed about work. And I'd kind of just make sure to fully embrace the weekend, take vacations, take trips when I could. And then I would be like slightly reset, but my anxiety never came back down to where it needed to be. It would just kind of like get me through.
Like just pure survival mode?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it started to ramp up more when me taking breaks and, doing my hobbies was not recharging me. So I was like, oh, okay, doing my after work hobbies, hanging out with friends, and my anxiety was the same going back to work.
Oh,
like,
man.
the next day. So yeah, so that was like kind of the first thing I noticed, which was strange. Like I hadn't experienced that before. And then, later I was like so emotional at work, and it felt like it was something I couldn't control. Yeah. And then my brain stopped working. So I had a hard time with doing tasks at work that are normally very simple, very straightforward, and things that I've done a million times. And I couldn't do it. Like literally could not.
Oh my God. You mentioned focusing on making it to the weekend and just kind of trying to turn it off. Did you ever accomplish turning it off, or was your 40-hour week longer than it needed to be?
Yeah, it feels like, so yeah, not aside from like working longer than 40 hours, I feel like my job consumed a lot of my time outside of it, right? So you get off work, then you're talking about work.
Yeah.
And then, you're going to sleep, and I was dreaming about work.
Stress dreams.
So I'm like, it's creeping into
that
everything.
40-hour work week turned into like a 70-hour work week.
Yeah.
So you're just constantly working, constantly stressing.
Yeah.
And you don't really have that clear, defined work and life balance or home life where you can go in and know, hey, I'm at home, I'm done with work. And I think that kind of brings us to like another topic of conversation is like, we're both single women, very independent, and go-getters, like you said. Very much we focus on the challenge, right? And that's no secret to the Sky Mommy Lounge. Like, we talk about challenges all the time and how we overcome them. This is a huge mental hurdle, especially whenever you kiss that limit and you're like, wait a second, I need to take a step back for my own preservation and mental health and to make myself stronger so that way I don't do this again. What are some of the steps that you're taking now to heal and preserve yourself so it doesn't happen again?
So this has been over the last few months. So I'm still
Mhm.
in a state of like letting myself rest
Yeah.
and not as much as I want to start writing my list and like, starting to get stuff done. I'm trying to
Mhm.
just let myself like relax.
Yeah, I feel like that's the hardest part for girls like us. It's the hardest part.
Yeah, I'm trying. And I'm like,
Like,
don't do it. Don't do it.
how do we
Don't
not
do it."
tweak out? You
Yeah.
know, like
Exactly. So
oh god.
I'm currently in a state of like when I journal, I just start writing about like recently I made a list of like, okay, what about my job do I need to make it
Yeah.
like a good fit for me? Do I truly need to be remote? Or if I worked in an environment that was accommodating, maybe I wouldn't care if I go in the office every day, So
Mhm.
like just trying to think through all those variables without making a decision. But yeah, I'm just letting things come to me. So I've
Okay.
had a bunch of ideas and my brain is not cluttered right now. So things are just coming to me. So I have a
Yeah.
bunch of ideas and yeah, so
Now, I
it's
would say
great.
once you found out that your creative mind was shut down for a while, now that you have rested, it can come to you and you can accept it more easily because you're not convoluting that with stress.
Yeah.
Okay. That's really freaking cool.
It's just doing its thing. It's like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I'm creative. I knew I was creative,
Creative,
but like I'm
but you
creative.
didn't have the headspace for it or the
Yeah.
bandwidth.
Literally. Yeah.
So yeah, oh my God, that's a lot. I'm
Yeah.
over here like, ooh, I'm worried about my burnout. Like,
Oh,
just chasing that next challenge, guys.
yeah.
What would you recommend our audience to make sure they don't reach that point that they can actually take a step back and recognize what's happening?
Yeah, I would definitely
Or are we
say,
at that point yet?
yeah. I mean, so far what I've learned in my journey is like your body and brain will tell you what it needs and just listen. I did not listen to my body and
Yeah, I
brain.
don't
So
either.
like, yeah,
Hmm.
I was like, yeah, let me do these little things to like try to, get through the next week, right? It's like just okay, get through this week, get through this week. And eventually my brain was like, we're done. Like
Hmm.
we're we're shutting this down. I tried to tell you, but you're done.
Yeah, and it just took what it needed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
So
That's scary.
yeah, so just listening to yourself. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I thought I didn't have a choice. I
Yeah.
could not do it. Yeah. One other piece of advice would be trying to so for me, I was okay with not feeling great in my work environment because I was happy with my compensation.
Oh yeah, that's a good point to talk about. Okay.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, I mean, I've had so many conversations with my peers and, everyone says, "But the money's good."
The
So it's
money's
like,
good.
yeah, I'll do this and that. And,
Yeah.
it's like at what price?
Yeah.
Tomorrow's not promised. And if I, were to pass away soon and, I was working in that environment that is so not for me, I wouldn't be cool with that. I mean, I'd be
Yeah.
dead, so I wouldn't be worried about it. But like,
Yeah.
like I don't know. I want to do something that is for me,
It's
I guess.
rewarding and meaningful.
Yeah. And so sometimes the trade off might be
Well, it's
make a
affecting
little
your
less
life
money.
outside of work.
Hmm.
So if we could have got to that point where it's like, yep, compensation is great, the money's good, but it's not affecting my home life, like then sure, do whatever, suck at
Right.
work, no problem. But
Hmm.
now it's infiltrating your safe space.
Hmm.
And now it's like, okay, it's draining your life. We already have a short life to live, and I'm not happy. And then, like you said, that could very well be the next step that you take, or going back to work or a different environment. It means less money. I think you mentioned before that you'd taken a promotion. So you took on added responsibility this year. Do
Yeah.
you think that had anything to do with it?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. It was a new role and added responsibility, which I think would have been manageable. I didn't have a good, so I
Yeah.
had also like taken on a new project. So it was
Oh.
like, and every time I start a new project, it's somewhat like getting a new job in a way.
Mhm.
So learning the new role, learning the tools you're going to be working with, getting on, you're working with a new team.
Yep, I'm doing that right now.
Yeah,
Yeah, new promotion, new location, new unit, new teams. So
exactly.
I
See,
understand. We're right there. Our lives are so parallel right
yeah.
now. And it is stressful, like,
Mhm.
especially being the new person. And I always joke, I'm the new guy. But no one really knows. Well, for me, in my position, no one knows. A lot of people don't know my credibility. They don't know what product and things that I bring to the table in this new unit. So there's that whole factor of getting over proving your worth again. But I'm also
Mhm.
at this rank where I don't necessarily have to, because the rank and the time and service kind of speaks for itself.
Yeah.
There's just an added expectation of she should know what she's doing. But people tend to forget because they look at that rank and that time in service and they're like, oh, wait, she's still new to the unit. She's never been over here,
Mhm.
hasn't flown this mission. So there's added stress.
Mhm.
And then add all the other concerns that I have in my personal life that I haven't talked about yet. Um, that is another physiological stressor. So it's like, man, you not only have the mental stress, workplace stress, psychosocial stress, you also have a physical stressor. So it's like, man, the cognitive stuff thrown in there with your new position, it's like, wait a second, I have to like learn this new role. I have all the tips and tricks, but I didn't get a proper handoff. Like nobody really showed me what to do. So I get it, girl. I get it. That's scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there is like, I think they have like a decent amount of documentation, and like I had some folks that were helping me along with the promotion, but it was just a lot.
Yeah,
So,
it is. And
yeah.
it's okay to just say that. It's a lot
Hmm.
because no one can really, well, one, no one can do it for you and no one
Mhm.
can tell you when enough is enough. So to just say that and accept it, that's huge. It's a lot.
Yeah, so I've shared like a little bit about my journey and like what burnout looks in my work environment, but yeah, like what does that look like for the Army? Like burnout on your side, cuz you
Yeah.
guys have lives at risk and all kinds of stuff. So what, yeah.
So I'm glad we're talking about this because it not only resonates on the corporate side, but the military, specifically Army aviation, has a specific definition of what motivational burnout is. And I will read that for you. Here we go. All right. So motivational exhaustion or burnout is if chronic fatigue remains untreated for too long, the individual will eventually shut down and cease functioning occupationally and socially. Motivational exhaustion is also known as burnout. So chronic fatigue is basically fatigue over a long period of time. What we were talking about, just being stressed and performing, putting a mask on in an environment you don't necessarily feel comfortable with. You're basically in a fight or flight response for a very long period of time. So just chronic stress, chronic fatigue, there's no end in sight. And that builds up over time, what we talked about. And then you hit that wall, motivational exhaustion and burnout. So what that looks like in Army aviation is if that person isn't recognized as experiencing this chronic fatigue and it's not treated immediately or as soon as they are recognized as such, then it can lead to a point of no return, essentially. So it's like, what does that mean? That means lives are at stake. That means mistakes can be made. They have slower reaction time. In my job specifically, I work on the mechanic side of the house. So that could very well mean, even though I may not be flying, someone like me or personnel in this shop could be working on a helicopter, and because of their fatigue and their stress, they could miss a very important detail, not put the helicopter together in the right way. Or in my role as a maintenance test pilot, I could very well miss that mistake and sign off the helicopter as good when it's not. That means potentially risking other people's lives. So yes, in your world, it's not necessarily life or death, but it's still important on the individual because we want to make sure we preserve every single body's life, not just, hey, you messed up and you could have killed more people. In my world, my job is just, my life is just as important as theirs. So it is scary when you think about it. It's like, wait a second, we have a lot of stressors in our job that can produce this chronic fatigue, and then the operational tempo of just like, hey, we get up early, we work all day, 12-hour work days, some days even longer. There's the stress of helicopters breaking. We don't have enough helicopter parts and pieces to make the mission happen, but our boys and girls are working really hard to make it happen out of nothing, by the way. That's what I'm doing here. Shameless plug. Just to let y'all know I've been dealing with this. But yes, not to get into the politics of it, but we don't got no money. So that's another stressor too. It's like you're trying to solve problems, like you mentioned earlier in this episode. You're trying to solve problems for the decision makers, right? Or communicate a problem or communicate the data so that way everyone can understand it in a better or different way. And essentially, in my job, I'm doing the same thing. I'm taking parts and pieces and solving complex problems, giving those solutions and recommendations to the decision makers, and allowing them to do what they need to do to accomplish our mission or our goals. So very similar. It is a corporation, if you think about it, the defense corporation. But man, it is stressful. I was just kind of reflecting on my personal life and what I've been doing. And I know I haven't told my fans yet or my listeners yet what's been going on. But since I talked to you guys last, I had surgery. I had a breakup. I had a lot of therapy appointments. I've been up and down on flight status because of my surgery. I went to a Pathfinder school. I was training up for air assault school. I was training up for airborne, tried to walk on airborne like 4 or 5 times, couldn't get on. I'm going to go back eventually. And then, like I said, guys, I've moved. So like moving is a stress. My dog feels my anxiety. He's stressed out. I didn't have a home to live in for a couple months. I just got my household goods like a week or so ago. So it's like, man, all these other things, I'm going to be right there with you. I just need to take time off too. If my flight surgeon's listening, I might need to just take some time off. No, I'm just kidding. I do, like I said, you all know I do enjoy what I do. Just like Tiffany mentioned, she loves what she does. It's just finding that right environment and that balance is very important. The Army, unfortunately, you're just going to have to hunt that good stuff and kind of see the positive even when there are things that you just can't change. And I think for me, the hardest part is just focusing on what I can control and taking a step back when I can relax and actually relax. Because that part right there, when we go home, it's like we got all these other things to do. But I will say, being here, my home life is amazing. This area is amazing.
Yeah.
You've been to the beach with me. She took me hiking for the first time here. Yeah. It's been beautiful. I mean, you can't get too mad when you're off duty. So I do think this is the right move.
Yeah.
So
sure.
I know that was long-winded, but like, you have me reflecting on a lot.
Yeah, good. This is therapy podcast.
And that's what I love about this is that I'm glad you mentioned that we should talk about this because a lot of people don't realize they don't want to talk about it. And that's the whole point of this show is to talk about things that affect us and things that are hard to talk about because of the stigma that may be surrounding it or that American dream or that hustle culture. I think COVID did change a lot of that for a lot of the corporate workplace, especially like moving to remote. Did you have a preference for remote versus like in person, or were you required to come back, or are you still remote?
Yeah. So I've worked at a few different companies since COVID, since the start of COVID. So each place was a little bit different. So I've had either fully in office, hybrid, or remote. I think there's good and bad about all of them, and depends on like your role, of course. So yeah, I actually don't mind / enjoy going into the office when it makes sense to go into the office. So like if every person I'm working with is out of that same location and like we're able to like be productive, brainstorm, do whatever in person, great. But if I have to go in and the entire team is in San Francisco and I'm the only one on the East Coast.
Yeah, that does make sense to me. Yeah, what are we doing?
So from that perspective, yeah. So kind of a bit of both. But I did want to ask you to expand on what you were just talking about. Do you feel like people are comfortable raising that they've reached burnout within the Army?
So this is a conversation that everyone gives lip service to. So in our crew briefs prior to every flight, and even steps before that, whenever we get risk approval and approval for the flight, there is a block on there that you have to consider your crew members and their fatigue and their duty day, and we call it fighter management. Do they have enough time in the day to accomplish all these goals per the regulation? We can only work a certain amount. We can only fly X amount, given the type of flying we're doing. You have to consider the teams that you're flying with. And it's a conversation at all levels prior to that flight, even moments before you step into the helicopter. Now, we give lip service to it because a lot of people just brush through it. I've tasted the stress. I know what it feels like. I know when you're not feeling 100%. And as a woman too, we have our hormones are up and down. Men's hormones are up and down too. Stress can kill your hormones. So when you're not in balance, like the fatigue can affect you more than you think. So I like to really get to know people and create that open communication environment that anybody on my crew, doesn't matter what rank, can tell me I don't feel comfortable flying. They don't have to tell me a reason, and I will listen. I'll consider it. And if we need to just stop what we're doing, or a helicopter, we could stop, we could land, and we could deal with it on the ground. I'd much rather that than someone pushing through it, thinking that they're good. And I'm a really bad habit of that. Like I will just push, because in the Army, we push resiliency and like, you have to come prepared. You're an operator, you're a quiet professional. You have to do what you got to do to get the mission to happen, right? In a lot of cases, that makes sense because in the dust off and medevac environments, which, I've worked in, it's kind of understood that your problems aren't as big as that person you're trying to save, right? So it's a really good definition of true altruism. It's like, we'll do whatever we need to do to pick up that person because that person's having a worse day than we are, and they could potentially live or die depending on how fast we can get to them. So in those cases, a lot of people will be like, forget my problems. I need to go save my brother or sister on the other end of this call. But in other environments, we're just doing regular flights just to maintain proficiency. It's not worth the risk.
Right.
We could switch people out. We can land. We can fly another time. We can say, hey, boss, my people aren't good. X, Y, and Z. We're just going to have to do this another day. And there are opportunities for that. Whether or not people feel comfortable depends on the workplace culture, depends on the individual that's in charge of that helicopter too. If they create a counterproductive cockpit environment, I've seen it happen. I've flown with these types of people. They don't make it conducive to even ask questions. They don't make it very comfortable. And that's not diming people out. That's literally like you, if you're in my job, you know that there are people like that. Navigating that is also a challenge. It's also stressful because those people can outrank you. Those people can be the same rank, and those people can be junior ranking to you. So it's really a challenge just managing people's emotions. But ultimately, yes, we have a conversation all the time, whether people are being honest about it or not. I don't know. But I do try to keep communication open. And if people need to have a private conversation with me, sure. Like I said, I don't need to know the details, but I just need to know where those limits are. And then we can all figure it out together. And then two, I'm trying to be more open to people getting to know me when I'm going through things like that, because the Army creates this culture where you have to be perceived as strong all the time and always on. And sometimes it's hard to take a step back and realize like, hey, I am going through shit and I'm not good right now. And that's okay, because now, whatever people think is what people think. But I'd rather save myself and save potential other lives now than to push through it and realize that I wasn't safe to fly at that moment in time. So yeah, it's a struggle. Like it's a balance. We keep coming back to it's a balance. It's like, what do I do? Especially as a woman, it's like, do I explain that I'm going through woman stuff? Nobody cares, nobody knows, but I'm going through stuff, right? So I don't know. I don't know the answer, but it's worth talking about.
For sure. We are doing our best out here.
Yeah, we are. We are. And we're serving our country and we're doing what we got to do and living the American dream and trying to make a living and pay our taxes, like there's so much, man. Creating that generational wealth for our animals.
Yeah. All these kids, man.
These kids. All these kids. Oh my God. Yeah. I wanted to be like as honest as possible without getting like super detailed, because I don't want, like we talked about, just being genuine. Be like, yeah, I'm not trying to hide all the bad stuff because we're human. So
all right. Well, thank you all for listening. Thank you so much, Marisa, for having me on the show. It's been a pleasure.
I'm so happy we got this done.
Yeah.
It's been a goal of mine to get you on here.
Yeah.
I just hate that we had to wait so long. You had to like kiss burnout in order to like
had to crash out to get on the show.
You had to crash out. And that's something that a lot of people on social media, like they joke around, I'm gonna crash out. But it's a real thing, guys. And recognizing your own personal limitations is very important. And I'm glad we're talking about this because a lot of people don't want to. They don't want to admit it. I've been known to do that too, where I just push way too hard, thinking I'm doing the right thing, and then I get stressed out. So it's good to talk about that. It's good to have friends, even outside of work, that you can bounce things off of. If you're unsure about like talking about it at work, you may be uncomfortable doing that, but at least you have someone to talk about. But if you don't feel comfortable talking to your peers about it, you can always talk to us. I'll drop Tiffany's information, her handle, in the comments. And if you want to continue to follow her journey, especially when it comes to corporate crash outs and how she's going to bounce back and probably do something interesting with her data scientist career and her expertise, she would be the best person to talk to. Or even if you're interested in data science. So if you're interested in information technology, data science, she's a great person to talk to, reach out to. She is taking on a mentorship role. So if you do have any questions, she'll be able to point you in the right direction. As always, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time. Sky Mommy out.